Hi, this is John Tanner. This is my second video in the Where to Ride in Utah series. Today I'm going to talk about the St. George area in the southwest corner of the state of Utah. The first place we start out down here is the Red Cliff Desert Reserve, which is right along I-15. So most of the parking are just roads coming off the freeway off ramp that you can pull into and either have a parking lot or you park on the shoulder. This area has a lot of red sand in it, and it's a good place. You know, I'm down there in January, February with horses that I've pulled the shoes off of, and I'm trying to just keep them shaped, legged up, so they can go in the summer when I'm ready to ride. So we go down there for a Friday, Saturday ride and just get the horses some exercise. It's typically 20 to 30 degrees warmer than it is at home, so there's no snow and you don't have a lot of mud, so it's just a good place to get out in the winter months. I can't speak for riding in the summer there. I avoid that part of the state. I'm not a person who likes the heat, but there's a lot of people who live there and ride that area during the year round. Myself, I stay with friends when we go down, and so I don't even know where to tell you to go.
Like the head of the trunk sticking out.
Where to go find campgrounds, but there are some. The county fairground in Washington County. There's the several horse motels in the area that I know you can put horses up in, and you'll just have to fend for yourself as to where to stay. This is heading up Red Mountain, which is a state park area or natural wilderness area out to the west of town. It does have some rocks going up. You do climb up, and at the top you look over in the top of Snow Canyon. It's a nice 13-mile ride, 3-4 hours, and bend out there. It does have a lot of sand, but it does have a lot of rocks. Again, when I go down for a weekend with a barefoot horse, we seem to do okay on it. It can get a little windy up there depending on the climate that day, so it's a place I usually avoid when it's predicted for heavy winds. Has a nice big parking area, lots of room to get turned around in, but they do not allow any camping in that park area. Adjacent to St. George is Zion National Park, which is a pretty good sized park that a lot of people hike in during the summer, and it's known for its narrows and hiking in the water and the river and so forth. We typically come in from outside the park, where you're parking your truck outside the boundary, and ride trails inside. This is Hop Valley here that you can see we're riding in. It's about 6,000 foot elevation, so it can get a little bit of snow in December, January, when this is when we were taking these pictures. But it's a beautiful place to ride. You can go in 7 miles. Most people turn around and come back out. You can go all the way through a 14-mile trip, and you can start on the Kolob Terrace, go through Hop Valley, and come out at Lee's Pass if you have somebody to shuttle your vehicle. But it's a 2, maybe 3-hour drive to shuttle your vehicle around. So most of us just ride in 7 miles, enjoy the vista of looking into Laverton Creek, and then we turn around and come back to our trucks. Coalpit Wash is an additional area we ride in Zion National Park. Coalpit Wash starts at about 3,000 foot, and you're right at the bottom of a big sandy wash. Some years it has some water in it, some years it doesn't. Again, I'm usually riding this in the winter months. It makes for a nice sandy trail that we can work the horses on. When you come up Coalpit Wash, you make a right turn and go up Scoggins. and the Scoggins gets a little bit narrower, and then you climb the Scoggins Stock Trail up onto the mesa, and that's a pretty good serious climb. You'll see here in just a minute the horse is climbing up right here, going up the Scoggins Stock Trail. It's a narrow trail, and it's a lot of climbing, but once you're on top, you're up on the mesa, and you can wander around on the mesa, or you can take the Chinle Trail, which will bring you back over to Rockville, the city of Rockville. And if you have somebody to shuttle your vehicle, you could park your vehicle in Rockville and make a loop of it versus an in and out trail. There's a lot of petrified wood going down the Chinle Trail, so it's kind of fun to see that. Of course, being in a national park, you can't pick any of it up or take it with you, but it's beautiful to see it laying on the ground all around the place there. As you come out into Rockville, the parking lot in Rockville, it's a nice big parking lot, but the entrance to it is horrible. You have a steep uphill climb into it, and then it peaks over the top and goes downhill, and so you're going up looking at your hood, you can't see where you're going, and if you tip down, it's very common for people's tailgates to come up and hit the underside of their gooseneck trailer. So I don't like parking there, but if you do, just be careful. I mean, I have been able to get my trailer in and out of there without damage, but it's something you got to watch your tailgate and bed rails and make sure you don't catch them as you drive in there, because it's a real steep tip over right there at the end of the where you go into that parking lot. This part of the video is actually down in the Chinle section of the trail just before you get to Rockville. You ride through some big open flats, and then you come into an area where there's some homes, and you kind of weave in between the properties of the homeowners and up through some rocks and back into the parking lot at the Rockville town parking lot there. Most of the time we just park along the highway at about a mile marker 24, if I remember right, and ride up Coalpit Wash and make a return trip back down Coalpit Wash, and we don't go over to Rockville. The third location we ride in Zion National Park is from Lee's Pass into Kolob Arch. This is the other half of the trail that you could do if you came in from Hops Valley. You park on the side of the road. It's about 7,000 feet. You have to ride down and get on the trail, and you pretty much go downhill for that first few miles until you hit Laverton Creek. Once you hit Laverton Creek, you're going uphill until you reach the Kolob Canyon, where you can tie up your horses, and you have to hike the last quarter mile up to the arch if you want to go in and see the arch. I did this in September one year, and it was just way too hot. I was sweating, the horse was sweating, and so I've always made this more of a October to March kind of a ride. There's a picture of the road. You just pull off on the pull-offs on the side of the road. Comanche Ditch is a trail that comes out of New Harmony, Utah, and climbs up onto the mountain toward Pine Mountain. There's a cabin up on top that backcountry horsemen or somebody maintains. It's open. People spend the night in it. There's a few rudimentary supplies in case you got stranded. It's a steep climb up and a steep climb back down, but it's a good exercise for the horse. It's a nice parking lot, lots of room to get turned around in. Another location is near Leeds, Utah. We ride down through what's called Babylon, and I've often called it the maze, because you go down through a maze of rocks to find your way to the Virgin River where the horses can get a drink. Along the Virgin River, there's a rock with a cross carved into it that they allege Santo Domingo carved in there with the Spanish conquistadors 300 years ago. It's a fun area to explore because it's just a lot of rock and a lot of wandering around. This is Snow Canyon. It's a state park. It's not a real big place to ride. You pull in, you park, and there are some trails where you can go with a lot of sand. The sand drifts a lot of sand dunes, and so you have some places to explore and get out. And you see here we run a little bit in the sand and enjoy it. At the end of the canyon, you come up to an abrupt stop, and there's 3 ponds in there. They call it the 3 Ponds Canyon. It's a pretty area just to get out and see a little country. And parking lot there can get full. There's a lot of hikers and mountain bikers and people climbing and scaling cliffs in there. So, just get to the parking lot, make sure you face out so you can return or get out of there at the end of your ride. Gunlock is a state park. It has a reservoir they do a lot of bass fishing in. It's out to the west of St. George. There's a lot of ATV roads out there where ATVs side by side ride around. You can ride along those roads. I found the ATVers were very courteous to stop and turn off their engines when we went past them. You can also just wander through the trees out there. There's some sagebrush flat, juniper pinyon and stuff. You can ride around the edge of the lake. There's a small slot canyon out there you can ride up and if you want to kind of experience a slot canyon. It's a good place just to go out and play. This is riding up the slot canyon there at Gunlock. It's half a mile long, something like that. And it's right there by the dam, so you can just go over there and ride the slot canyon and back if you wanted to make a real short day of it. Or we usually make a loop and park on the highway, and we just ride clear around the area, and then slot canyon is kind of the last part of what we do.